Now we've taken a quick tour of the new panel interface, but you know what? I think you can do most of your work using the control panel here at the top of the screen. So to understand how the control panel works, let's click Don't Show Again, because we want to dismiss the welcome screen, and then we'll choose Create New Document. We'll accept whatever the defaults are and click OK. Now, the control panel here at the top of the screen can really be a replacement for many of your most commonly used panels that are normally down here on the right side of the screen. The control panel is a context-sensitive control center. That means it's going to change based on what you have selected. So let's look at a few simple examples. First, I'll grab the Frame tool here in the toolbar, click and drag out a very simple frame. You can position it wherever you want, make it whatever size you want, doesn't really matter. So with this frame selected, looking up here in the control panel, we see we have several attributes that we can change, such as the X and Y position, the width and height, scaling, rotation, skewing, flipping, stroke width, and stroke style, and so on. Lots of things that we can change. Now, if we come over here and grab the Type tool and insert the Type tool inside that same frame, instantly you should notice that the control panel changes. Now we have character, and if we click this icon, paragraph attributes. Notice we can change attributes such as font, font size, leading, kerning, and so on. And then when we get to the paragraph option here, we have various paragraph formatting options, including alignments, spacing, bulleted lists, numbered lists, hyphenation, and so on. So it consolidates most of your frequently used features all in one place. By default, the control panel is up at the top of the screen, but you could take it and move it down to the bottom of the screen. You could really float it wherever you want. I think in most cases it makes sense to leave it just where it is by default at the top of the screen. Needless to say, you'll be accessing the control panel a lot throughout the rest of these lessons. So let's grab the selection tool, that's the black arrow tool here in the toolbar, and we'll select this frame. And because you're going to be using the control panel so much, let me point out a couple of quick tips. Now on Windows, I would press Control 6, on the Mac that would be Command 6. Now that keyboard shortcut will shift your focus from whatever you have selected here in your layout up here to the control panel, as you can see top left here. Now, once you have focus inside the control panel, you can press the Tab key to jump between various fields, and Shift Tab will jump your fields in reverse order. So if you really would rather drive the computer from the keyboard instead of having to rely on the mouse, you can do that all within the control panel of InDesign. Now let's say I want to change the scale of this object. An easy way to select this field instead of having to click and drag is just to simply click the field icon, and that will give us instant access to make that change. So let's say I want to change that to 50%. All I have to do is press Enter on Windows or Return on the Mac. But what if I'm not exactly sure of the value that I want to change? So let's say I just want to increase that by 150%. Instead of just pressing Return, I'll press Shift Enter on Windows or Shift Return on the Mac. What that does is that changes the value, but notice that the field is still selected. So if I'd like to type another value over that, I can immediately type and really experiment and work through the process. So in this case, I think 50% is going to be good. I'll click OK. Now another thing that you can do here inside of these fields is you can do basic math operations. So right now, this is telling me that it's 9 picas, 5.5 points. Now let's say I just want to add 1 inch to that. So I'll press plus 1 IN and hit return. And InDesign's actually doing the math for me. So I don't need a calculator, I don't need a post-it note to jot little measurements down. I can do the math right there in the control panel. In fact, those math operators work throughout all the panels of InDesign. So obviously there's a lot of controls here all the way across the top of my screen. You can experiment and figure out all the various options that are available to you. I think you'll find them very helpful. The last two things I just want to make sure you know about. Right here on the right-hand side, there's an icon for Go to Bridge. With one click, that will launch Adobe Bridge CS3, which comes with InDesign or the Creative Suite. It's a great way to manage files and browse your images. We'll look at that more in a later lesson. But the other thing I want you to know about here is that the control panel has its own panel flyout menu. Click, and you can see all the various options, several commands that you might take advantage of, some options to set. But the thing that I want to point out is the Customize option. Just choose this command, and this will open up the Customize Control Panel dialog. Inside this dialog, you can really customize how the control panel looks. For example, if there's features that you are never going to use, maybe you're just never going to use the Distribute option, you can turn that off. Maybe you never deal with tables. You can turn off that submenu, and that will disable all of these table options. It will save room on your screen, and it will eliminate visual clutter. Now, I'm going to press cancel because I actually want the full bevy of options available to me, and also to make sure that you and I are looking at the same interface. So I'll click cancel for now and move ahead.